First, before I get started, though, you'll notice that I have this little rainbow-looking thing around my neck, and there's a medal on it. And so I'm going to take some time away from our regular scheduled program to brag a bit about that, because, oh, this is reversed. I'm a competitive fencer. I'm pretty new at it. I've been fencing épée for a year, and then I switched about 8 months ago to saber. But I had a tournament yesterday, and I came in first place out of 22 people. Mostly high schoolers, not going to lie. But that being stated, that's not a disadvantage to them. It's actually an advantage to them, because I'm not in high school, much older than that. And, you know, bad back, bad knee, stuff like that. So if anything, I was at the disadvantage from the younger guys, but still managed to pull through, win the last bout, 14-15, so it was very close. And I got my D ranking, so that's a big deal for me. A D, it's a low ranking. They go up to A, E, Ds. They're kind of low rankings. It's not that big of a deal, really. This was just a small local tournament. But for me, it's a big deal because it's the first time I've ever had a D or came in first place at a tournament. So wanted to say that and do a not humble brag. So there that is. All right. On to the good stuff. So let's talk a little bit first about just keeping shop, what's been going on. I'm not going to quite get into the where we've gone in Hyper Nocturnal. If you've been following our Twitter, you already know. But to start with, you'll notice that on iTunes, I've actually left the last news update that we did last week up. And that's on purpose. I know I said in the last episode that I was going to take those down, but I'm going to start taking down the weekly episodes for the new episodes, starting with this one, because I've decided that somebody's new, somebody's coming in. That first episode kind of explains what we're doing here, so people can hear it and sort of understand and be caught up and know what's going on, as opposed to being confused. So I'm going to leave that first episode up. And then from here on out, I will be replacing the episodes each week with this new one we record. Again, on YouTube, you'll be able to see all the vlogs, though. So I want to get that out of the way. The next thing, and I mentioned this a minute ago, was we are now in the Zune Marketplace. We are now in the Zune podcast directory. So if you are on Zune, or you get your downloads and podcasts from someplace else other than iTunes or our FeedBurner RSS, that is on FeedBurner and on our website, you can now get them from Zune Marketplace, if that's your preferred method. So a couple thank yous for that. I wanted to say thank you to Cliff at the Podcast Answer Man podcast for sort of advising on how to do that on his podcast, how to get that into the Zune Marketplace. And then I also wanted to thank, yet again, give another thank out to Jen from the Anomaly podcast for letting us know that this is even an option, because I don't really use Zune that much, I have to admit. So I wasn't really aware we could get our podcast in there. So thank you very much to those two people. Check out both of their podcasts, as always. One last thank you, not related to Zune, I wanted to give out. Again, I thanked this person last week, but I wanted to thank them again. Is Lawrence Raw from Radio Drama Reviews. He went back when he did a review for us on Radio Drama Reviews of the Bagua Twee Box when the series was about halfway through, and now that we're done, he went back and did a review of the entire thing. And he gave us a very lovely review, a very thoughtful, thought-moving review for me personally. So just want to say thank you again to him for the great review, being the support and the exposure. So thank you very much, Lawrence. Check out his website, and he's also on Twitter at Lawrence Raw, just his name. Okay, so now let's get into Hyper Nocturnal. That's what y'all probably want to hear about. Hyper Nocturnal, in case you have forgotten, is the new radio play we'll be doing. It is a horror radio play, scary stuff. I hope. If you don't think it's scary, at least I hope you'll find it interesting. And the script is written. It's another 8-part episode, 8-parter, 8 episodes for the radio play. The script is written, it has been completed, and I've spent this last week editing, reviewing, making sure sentences are as I want them, scenes are as I want them, kind of trying to find any plot holes I can patch up. And I thought this was going to take me a couple weeks to do, but actually blew right through, and we're done. We're done editing. We have been able to go through and reread all the episodes, make sure everything's where we want it, and we're in a good place. So we're ready to we're actually ready to get to the good stuff and start rolling, start recording. So that's very exciting and obviously very, anxiety making as well, because this is where the real stuff happens. So the first step in the recording process is casting. So that's what we're going to be pushing this next week, and you're going to be seeing a lot of tweets and Facebook status updates and all the call-outs, and people I know are going to be getting emails from me asking you to network me to actors and things like that. And I'm going to be reaching out to everybody saying, if you're interested in being in a radio play, you're interested in doing voice acting, shoot me an email, shoot me your voice, any kind of clips or anything you have of voice work you've done, and if we like it, we can work together, we can get you recording on the play. So that's what we're going to be moving into now. Let me think here for a minute what else I want to say about that. I don't think there's anything else really to say. We're going to casting. We need both male and female leads, variety of voices. I'm going to need people who are able to do foreign accents. I don't want to give too much away about the story, but I will need some people who are able to do foreign accents, so that's one thing to keep in mind if you're sending us reels. And one thing I should tell you about is that if you are interested, we don't make any money off this podcast currently, but so because of that, we aren't able to actually pay money to people for doing voice acting or recording for us, but we will give you pizza if you're local and actually come in and record with us. We will buy you lunch. If you are not, then you're mostly just doing it for the fun experience. You'll get to talk with me a lot. So anyway, so that's what's going on with Hyper Nocturnal this week. That's pretty much the update. Some other stuff that's going on in the world of sci-fi radio theater is that we're going to be transferring computers. The computer I recorded the entire Bagua tweet box, I record most of the stuff and editing we're doing now is very old. I have a new computer. It needs a different hard drive in it, though. So this next week I'm going to be working on getting a hard drive. This next couple weeks I'm going to be working on getting a hard drive, putting the new hard drive in, and sort of transferring all the files over so that that new computer is our main station. So that's going to be a little bit of a task. I'm going to be working on that this next couple weeks when I have free time to, as well as the casting is really going to be a big push for us as well. After I'm done with that, I know I talked last week about uploading the Bagua Tweetbox to YouTube. Still going to be doing that. That's still the plan to do. Probably going to do it after the new computer's transferred over, and I can use sort of the editing stuff. I don't really have very good video editing software on this computer, so I'm going to use that one. So once that transfer's happened, then I'll start uploading to YouTube. If I'm feeling very progressive, maybe I'll do it sooner. We'll see. But that's still coming. Probably still going to be a couple weeks out, to a month out before we start doing that, though. Also wanted to send out a call out. We went to Boston Comic Con. We are based in Boston. We went to Boston Comic Con. And we had a fantastic, fantastic time seeing everybody walking around. We have pens we hand out when we go to conventions, so handing out some pens, meeting various web artists, things like that. And we got a ton of cards and emails and comic books and web addresses and things for us to check out. I have not had a free minute this last 2 weeks in order to actually go and check these things out. So I'm sorry about that. I want to send an apology out to Boston Comic Con people if I have not contacted you, said, hey, checked out your stuff, really liked it. I have not had a free minute. I'm hoping to, now that the editing and the writing's done, I'm hoping to have a little bit more free time to actually be able to go through and check out all that really cool stuff we saw. Because that's some stuff some of that stuff really impressed us, what we were seeing and what some people were doing online, especially with like web comics and things like that. And I definitely want to start a relationship with those people and kind of get in contact with them and, maybe feature them on this podcast. I don't know. So sorry for those people. Want to say a final thank you to you all, the listeners. We've gone, surprising to my surprise, actually a lot of downloads this last week. We're averaging anywhere between 20 to 35 a day, which is very high for us. We normally average anywhere from 5 to 13 a day, So I'm not quite sure why this is happening. I'm assuming it must be you guys who have listened to the show have been telling your friends who have been passing around. So I just want to say thank you very much to everybody. It's great that we're getting so many people listening now. We have this, as of this morning when I checked, we have hit 1,000 downloads, which was, I said to my wife, who is sitting next to me, that if I do not hit 1,000 downloads of the Bagua 2 box, I'm considering this a failure. So, it's not a failure now, because you downloaded it 1,000 times, all 8 episodes. So, that's a big deal for me. So, again, thank you guys so much. Another person left us a 5-star review on iTunes, which, again, is super fantastic. So, keep doing that, keep promoting. I'm glad you guys are liking it. I'm assuming you guys are liking it. I'm actually not getting very many messages or contacts or emails from anybody, so I'm really just basing the fact that you're liking it based on the amount of times you're downloading it and the 5-star reviews we're getting on iTunes, so thank you. On this topic, one final thing I want to talk about is that I want you guys to communicate more with me, because I'm feeling lonely out here. I know you're listening, I know you're downloading, but we're not getting any communication. So please send me emails. Again, if you have questions you want me to answer about anything, about how we made the Bagua 2 box, audio editing, radio plays, science fiction, I'll be happy to answer them on this podcast. If you have reviews, feel free to not just give the 5-star review. Well, please do give the 5-star review on iTunes, but also leave us a comment in the iTunes review section. We like hearing that stuff. So far, there's only 2 people who've reviewed them. One, I'll give that person a call. Their name is Pottermore. Thank you very much. She had a very lovely review on iTunes and said, "Your podcast is so freaking good!" So thank you very much. We think you're so freaking good. So thank you, Pottermore on iTunes, for leaving us that review. I think that's it. I had one idea also, because in this plea I'm giving you to start communicating with me more. So one thing I really love is really over-the-top, photorealistic sci-fi fantasy artwork. Like the stuff you see in heavy metal album covers or book covers or just general around comic books, things like that. So if anybody out there is an artist, you don't necessarily have to be photorealistic, or just a general sci-fi artist looking to get somebody to kind of display their stuff, if you want to email it to us at sci-fi-radiotheater@gmail.com, I would be happy to display it and show it off, as long as it's not, porn. It can be sexy, it's just not, full-on nudity, because I think I might upset some censors with that. But, of course, I would be displaying this in the vlog, as opposed to the podcast, because the podcast is audio only. So that's my plea for you. Again, feel free to contact us with any questions, any artwork, anything you want to do at sci-fi-radiotheater@gmail.com. You can contact us on Twitter at sfradiotheater, or you can even contact me, Charles, personally at Dasagad on Twitter. We're also on Google Plus and Facebook and all that stuff, so you can get us everywhere. We're also on SoundCloud. We're all over the place. We even have a Sci-Fi Radio Theater Pinterest. I never use it, because I can't figure out what I should be doing with it, frankly. I suppose I should be posting sci-fi-related artwork I find on the Sci-Fi Radio Theater Pinterest. That's probably the best thing to do, but again, I think it mostly comes down to I just really haven't had time to get on there and play around with it, frankly. Maybe I'll find some time. Maybe I'll get my wife, Ms. Josephine, she uses Pinterest a lot, so maybe she can take over the Sci-Fi Radio Theater Pinterest and start posting things. If you guys send us stuff, we'll post it on our Pinterest. How about that? Send us artwork and we'll post it on our Pinterest. Cool. So anyway, that's what's going on. Thank you for listening. Again, we're going to be doing casting callouts. Send us, if you're interested, send us your name and reel at sci-fi-radiotheater@gmail.com. If you're not local based in Boston, that's okay. However, you'll need to have recording equipment of acceptable quality for us to be able to work with you. Just because it can't be like, a headset or something. You need to have a full setup, dynamic microphone or whatever studio kind of microphone, and some kind of way to actually record your voice in an acceptable quality, so we're not getting low quality volume or low quality voices. So that's the only kind of filter if you're not local. But again, if you're not local and you do have good microphones, stuff like that, by all means, still would love to hear from you. We can work something out even if you're not local in Boston. Yeah, that's all I have to say. You have anything to say? My wife's over here. No, she has nothing to say. Okay. Thank you guys very much, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.